Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Stocks to Watch, where we uncover the market's hidden gems with the potential to shape the future. Today, we're diving into Denarius Metals, a Canadian junior mining company that's making significant strides in some of the world's most sought-after metals like copper, nickel, and cobalt. Now, these aren't just the materials of the past, they are the bedrock of modern technology, from smartphones to electric vehicles, making Denarius Metals a key player in the green energy revolution. I am Ashley Berry, and today we're welcoming Serafino Iacono, CEO of Denarius Metals. Now, for those who are particularly interested in sustainability and future-oriented investments, this company certainly stands out with projects in Spain and Colombia. They're not only reawakening historic mines, but also advancing exploration in high-grade districts that will help meet the global demand for critical metals. They're trading on the CBOE as DMET and the OTCQX as DNRSF. And without further ado, I would love to welcome Serafino to the show. Serafino, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, it is certainly a pleasure. And as I mentioned, your company has projects both in Spain and Colombia. What's really unique about these locations?
Well, the uniqueness is the materials that we're going to be producing out of them, and also these are very high grade and traditional mines with a long history, going in Spain from the Roman time, and in Colombia from the pre-Columbian times. They were producing gold in these mines. And the same thing in Spain. They were producing silver, and they were producing copper, and they were producing gold as a metal, and lead. These were metals that for the past 2,000 years were key, and have been since key into the production, and really never stopped.
Fantastic. And you currently have more than one project approaching production in the next 12 months, I understand. So let's start with that project. That's in Colombia, which includes a historic mine. You've already conducted a preliminary economic assessment on this property. Can you elaborate on this?
Sure. We're actually even more advanced than that. We're actually building a 1,000-ton-a-day facility. The project has been very much advanced. We are literally 4 months away from going into production. It's going to start with small production of about, we start with about 200 tons in the first few months to get the plant going, and then automatically go to 500 tons a day, and then to 1,000 tons a day. Now, what's very special about this project, it's very high-grade gold and very high-grade silver. It's a mine that is totally developed. It was closed in the 1950s. So it's got infrastructure built. The plant is a brand new plant that we ordered a year ago. It's under the construction. You're talking about 8 grams of gold with 140 grams of silver per ton. So when you compare it to some of the big projects in the world, this is probably ranks in one of the very high grade deposits.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. 4 months from production, quite an accomplishment there. Let's talk about your past experience and partnerships in the location, maybe, and how this helps you advance this project.
Well, Colombia is our home. It's where I spent 60% of my time. I've developed many projects in Colombia. It's very important to have the know-how, but also very important to have the know-who in a country. And we very lucky to have both. So my background, it's always been in the natural resource business. The last project that I left to start Denarius was what is today Aris Gold. Aris Gold is the largest producer of gold. I developed that company from a $3 million investment to what is today almost $1 billion company. I left it with a management team because we wanted to repeat ourselves in what we're doing in Denarius what we did in the last 15 years into building what is now today Aris Gold. So we have the experience on that. We know how to work in the country. We know how to deal with the government, and that is key to be successful in especially in South America.
Yeah, and it certainly sounds like the partnerships, obviously, as you're talking about the government and the community, it's very important to you. I can hear it just in the way you're talking, because if you don't have that support, you really can't operate and you can't be successful. So I think that's fantastic. Let's talk about next steps, time frame for the work on the property there in Colombia.
Well, the time frame is we're under construction for the 1,000 ton a day. What we are preparing ourselves is for early production. By November, December, we should start a small production, as I said, of about 200 to 300 tons a day. And we are going to go into making concentrate. The idea, everything is already in line. We have a buyer for all the concentrate, which is Trafigura. So we have an agreement with Trafigura to buy everything that we produce. We have the mine already developed underground. So the contract miner that is going to be doing the work is already is ready at any time. And the only thing that we're waiting right now is the final corrections on the environmental permits that we're going to need so that we can start operation. And we believe that we're going to get them between the next 30 to 60 days. We should have those permits in our hands. And then it's a matter of just taking out the material. Our crushing facility is already in place, and the crushing facility is key to this because we, in the early production that we're talking about, while we finish building the plant, it's going to be done in a processing plant that specializes in milling and producing materials for third parties, and that will give us early cash flow earlier than we would get from finishing the plant.
So, and I also want to shift now to Spain, the project approaching production there. Yes, has a pre-feasibility study. Can you share some key highlights about that project?
Well, this is a fantastic project. Aguablanca is more than a pre-feasibility. Aguablanca is a producing mine. It was closed 7 years ago, 8 years ago from Lundin when the price of nickel crashed literally to $8,000 a ton. And they moved on to other places and other business, and this fell into the hands of the government. So you have a 5,000 ton a day plant in absolute perfect condition, an underground mine that is totally developed with a 2.5 kilometer ramp, and 6 million tons of proven, not probable, proven reserves with fantastic numbers, with 0.7 in copper, 0.5 in nickel. It's got gold, it's got platinum, it's got palladium, and it's got cobalt. And all of these materials are all payable materials because of the grades that they have. In this case, we also have a situation that we already have a buyer, and we chose, in this case, because of the new regulations that are happening in Spain, the European community is becoming very jealous of the materials that are going to be produced in Europe. And we chose Boliden to be the people that are going to be buying our concentrate to process it in Europe so that they can sell it to European companies. And that's very much key because it does two things. Boliden is probably one of the lowest in emission of CO2. So we're going to be a low emission CO2 mine with a low emission CO2 smelter, which makes our material very attractive for companies that are tracking this kind of material. So we have reserves. We can be in production within the next 12 months. The plant is in perfect condition. to take the whole operation in production. It's very low cost capex, $6 million. And that includes fixing, putting the final touch to get the plant going and to dewater the underground mine. We have a contract miner there too, ready to start working. And this is a project that's going to be producing fantastic cash flow. I mean, you're talking about the IRR of the Spanish project. It's above 275%. And Colombia, just to give you an idea, in Colombia is about 280%. And that's with 1,800 gold. Today, with the price of gold, is even much more bigger. Now, what's the great thing going back to Spain is that the project, it's not just copper, gold, and nickel. The project's got also a very interesting situation. The project that we have, which is called Lomero Poyato, which is in Andalusia, it's only 80 kilometers away. And in other situation, we would have to build a plant for that facility. But since we have overcapacity of 5,000 tons a day, we are now going to be able to bring in Lomero Poyato into production at a much lower capex and use the plant that we have and produce not only copper, nickel, and all the precious metals that you have there, but we're going to be producing additional copper from our project, zinc, lead, silver, and the most important thing, very high-grade gold that is very rare to find in the pyrite belt. Almost 1 million ounces of gold are going to be in the Lomero Poyato project.
Absolutely. And not to mention your commitment to environmental sustainability when you mentioned the CO2 emissions. So important. Really appreciate you highlighting that.
No, you touched a very important thing. Look, in all cases, we were doing social responsibility before it became fashionable to be socially responsible. Mm-hmm. I built a school that right now in Colombia that is run by a foundation called Angelito de Luz, which gives education from kinder all the way to graduating from high school for 700 kids in a town called Segovia Remedio. We spent $5 million in building probably one of the biggest and most high-tech schools in Colombia, privately owned. You have to build things for the community. You have to share some of your money with the community. Spain is a little bit different because Europe is a rich country, but you still got to do things to watch the environment, to make sure that you are efficient. Things like solar panels to lower the cost of energy and so on and so on.
Thank you for sharing that and for your work there in Colombia. Let's talk about the market cap for your company. It's currently around 23 million, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. To me, it sounds like the company's undervalued. Would you agree? And do you believe that the market has not yet recognized the potential of your amazing work in both countries?
Look, every CEO thinks that his company is undervalued. They're never going to tell you otherwise. It's a young company. It's very tightly held. I mean, remember, I mentioned Aris. Aris owns 16%. On a fully diluted basis, 35% of the company is owned by my family office. We have very few investors in this company, and it's just coming out. This is a child coming out into start crawling. Because of my background, we have a company that, I didn't want to start an exploration company. I wanted to start a company that would go very quickly into production. The world has changed. People want to see results. So the assets that I chose that were very specifically selected for me to take them into early production, into production very fast. So you have a company that is totally undervalued. Market cap in Canadian, it's $35 million, $33 million, somewhere around there. It fluctuates between 38 and 30 and 32. It's got very little trading right now. With creating liquidity by, I just closed the financing for $5 million. It was that to create some liquidity and bring in some institutional investors to be part of that want to come in. And I believe that it's like I started Gran Colombia Gold, and I started with a $3 million market cap. And look at it today, it's close to $1 billion company. And companies get built slowly. I like this kind of thing. And I actually believe that Denarius is going to be even faster than the other companies to build, because we have one mine that goes into operation at the end of the year, and 12 months from now, I'm going to be producing in Spain. And there is very few companies, junior companies, that have that kind of qualification.
Mm-hmm. Which brings me to my last question, very fitting. 3 key points. What makes Denarius Metals a compelling investment opportunity right now?
What makes a compelling investment, this company, is that it's a company that's going to be becoming a very quick cash flow company. It's a company that's going to be generating in Colombia between 35 and 60 million, $75 million. Actually, depends on the price of gold. If we look at gold today, and in Spain, it's pretty much the same thing. So it's a small junior company, but with the heart of a mid-size mining producer, because at the end of the day, we're going to be producing a very large amount of metals, very quick and very low cost. So here's a stock that you buy at 50 cents. It's a stock that very easily, when you start looking at earnings starting next year, it's going to basically dwarf what the market cap is right now.
Well, with that being said, as industries from tech to renewables continue to grow, investing in companies like yours could really provide access to, as we talked about, future of innovation, clean energy, and even the global shift toward sustainability. Thank you so much for your time, Serafino Iacono, and for sharing these insights here with us on Global One Media's Stocks to Watch. Very excited to follow any updates from your company. Thanks again.
Thank you.